Welcome to this quick overview of the online fraud detection market. My name is Omar Ben Hamadou, and I'm a cybersecurity and data center expert. So the online fraud is a $55 billion problem, and it's impacting all kinds of industries and verticals, be it fintech, retail, food and beverages, digital goods and services, but also all kinds of marketplaces. Examples of online fraud are account takeover, ATO, which is when a malicious user takes over the account of a good user. He will use that account to purchase high-value items using the credit card stored in that specific account. He might use it to claim the reward points in that account. He might also use it to publish fake reviews and fake content. There is also the payment fraud, which is very prevalent in the banking industry, but also now with any online business that has a payment gateway. There is spam content, which is a very serious problem because usually spam content will have malware published behind it. That malware will impact your customers, and your customers will hold you responsible for that impact and for being hacked, possibly, because it originated from your website and from your platform. There is also promo abuse, synthetic fraud, chargebacks, and things like BOPIS fraud, buy online, pick up in store kind of fraud. So if you're an enterprise, if you're experiencing high growth, chances are you've got a fraud problem, whether you realize it or not. And it's impacting both your top line as well as your bottom line in terms of lost sales, lost inventory, but also in terms of customer dissatisfaction with the customers that are impacted by this fraud. It's impacting your brand integrity, but also it is impacting your risk management teams because chances are they are dealing with these frauds by assessing these transactions in a very manual way, which is not optimized for the kind of threats available out there in the market. So what can you do about it? Get an online fraud detection solution, OFD. And let's take a look at the OFD market segments as they are today. So there is first legacy vendors that are coming from the banking focus. We can call them event monitoring vendors with a banking focus. And then there is the more current and more up-to-date solutions, which are like event monitoring vendors with a digital commerce focus. There is another angle from which other cybersecurity players are trying to find a solution to the fraud problem, be it using the device assessment, the endpoint malware detection, behavior biometric vendors. There is bot mitigation vendors, and then there is some orchestration vendors that are also offering solutions in the online fraud market. Now let's take a deeper look at these segments. So the event monitoring vendors with the banking focus, usually, since they are legacy vendors, they will offer on-prem solutions. They might or might not have machine learning capabilities, but usually this machine learning capability is custom made and tailored to their specific customers. And a critical point is that this machine learning algorithm is applied only to that customers. Therefore, the data is not shared between their different customers. They have and they provide transaction monitoring capabilities as well as login and case management capabilities. Vendors in this market are solutions like NetReveal, FICO, Falcon, and SaaS fraud detection solution. Then there is the event monitoring with a commerce focus. These vendors are more they are more up to date, they are more cutting edge, and they came up with solutions to tackle the online businesses. So usually what they offer is a SaaS-based solution with machine learning capabilities where data is commingled across customers. So customer A can benefit from insights found with frauds in customer B. So they build a very strong database of fraud scenarios. And they provide usually device assessment, behavior analytics, and case management capabilities. So there are vendors like Forte, Raveling, but there are also more cutting edge vendors like Sift with very specific machine learning capabilities. And recently, the hyperscalers, Amazon and Azure, came up with solutions in this market. So this is becoming a very, very interesting space with a lot of players in this market. So there is also device assessment, endpoint malware, behavior, biometric solutions. They offer different kinds of solutions, be it on-prem, SaaS. Their approach is more to create unique device IDs and browser and device telemetry, and they create this customer profile behavior, and then they try to find out where customers move away or deviate from that behavior in order to detect fraud. Solutions in this market are things like AppGate, IBM Trusty, Threat Metrics, and you see here the payment market solutions like MasterCard, as well as Visa, going ahead and getting acquisitions in order to provide their customers with this kind of capability. There are the bot mitigation software vendors that help with ATO, credential stuffing, credential cracking, card or price scraping, and try to identify where bots are trying to harvest this kind of data. And solutions in this market are like vendors like Akamai, F5, Impreva, and Perimeter X. And then last, there is the orchestration vendors that try to provide end-to-end fraud management strategy by combining different kinds of solutions and orchestrating between different tools and data. And here you can find call sign and transmit security. So how do you select an OFD solution? First, what you have to do is a pulse check of your fraud prevention operation. You have to ask yourself some questions like, how do you fight fraud today? What tools do you use? Do you have in-house rules? Do you use machine learning or a rule-based fraud prevention solution? Do you do device fingerprinting? Do you do more of manual reviews with your risk management analysts? And then how many tools are you using and whether there is automation behind it or not? And you also have to ask yourself, what are the KPIs you are measuring or you want to measure? So things like block rate, false positive rate, chargeback rates, refund rate, loss rate, and time spent on manual reviews. So what you want to avoid when you select an OFD solution is using too many tools. So you want to go for a single pane of glass and a solution that provides you more or less the full capabilities to address fraud problems. And you want to avoid to have disconnected tools and data sets. So ideally, your solution has to ingest data from internal sources as well as from external sources. And most importantly, there are a lot of solutions out there that require a lot of amount of developer or engineering work. So you have to go for the low code options here and solutions that require you minimal developer work. And don't go for a solution without automation, because the threat out there in the market is automated. So malicious hackers are using bots, are using automation, are using things that will overwhelm your cybersecurity and risk management teams. So you have to go for an automated solution. And a very notorious vendor in this market space, which is really revolutionizing the online fraud detection and online fraud solutions, is Sift. And you can think of Sift as a solution that fights fraud with machine learning. What's really unique about Sift is that they have proven that their methodology works, and they have 34,000 sites and applications that use Sift. And they have very notorious customers like Airbnb, Box, McDonald's, and Twilio. And they have a library of 16,000 fraud signals. This library is constantly fed by the 34,000 seats that they have in their install base, sites that they have in their install base. And they basically, the algorithm and their machine learning capability learns from 70 billion events per month and collects and analyzes 5 million global fraud decisions per month. So this is tremendous capabilities and tremendous scenarios that makes the Sift algorithm get better day by day. So in terms of capabilities, Sift plays in the market space that is defined more by being digital trust and safety suite. So they provide you with things like account defense, payment protection, dispute management, and content integrity. And Sift is very specialized in fintech, retail, food and beverage, but more and more, Sift is getting used in different kind of industries like the travel and transportation industry. So the algorithm they built can basically be applied and customized to any kind of industry. But as of today, the most prevalent industries are fintech, retail, and food and beverage. So the three key elements behind the value proposition of Sift are automation, context, and actionable data. Automation in a sense that the solution uses machine learning and not a rule-based automation. So this solution gets better day by day, and this is a solution that is trained to identify subtle details related to your infrastructure. So the solution ingests and takes action based on internal and external data in an automated way, and is able to scale as your business grow, where you can have departmental sides of things in order to tailor the fraud detection as per the department or as per the division that you're going into. And it's a low-code integration with very little developer work needed. In terms of context, you can make data-driven decision using Sift, and you can get real-time visibility. And with the risk score, you can basically identify more and more of the frauds and adjust the thresholds and business logic depending on the context. And then there is actionable data in the sense that it gives you a lot of data that you can take action based on. Chargeback data, block rates by region, agent, workflow, by user, customer insult rate, historical backtesting. And you can see this in the way the solution has been developed. So the scoring mechanism takes into consideration 16,000 details. So users will be flagged by device ID, by the email analysis, by social data, location, custom data, navigation behavior, the mouse clicks, the velocity of the order, and how the order has been taken, the changes, if somebody changes the credit card and then places an order, and then after a few minutes he places another order, and the system actually is based on this Sift score, but also learns from the different customers and the different install bases out there. So you can set up thresholds based on this risk score. So you have a user who places an order. That transaction, if it gets a score of 9, and between 9 and 58 will be auto accepted, from 58 to 99 will be auto rejected. And this is where automation will be very, very important, so that these kind of frauds doesn't overwhelm your risk management team. And then the solution uses a lot the context. So in a scenario like this, where the account is just 4 years old, you have 2 credit cards added, and then different items being purchased. So the system will take into consideration the behavior of the user and compare it with the history, and compare it with the velocity of the actions taken, and identify whether this behavior is malicious and fraudulent or not. And last but not the least, so Sift uses a very, very user-friendly interface.